It's very good he's standing in for the member for Clapton, I have to say. There was no sign of him yesterday at the EU. So he was the first through the E-gates somewhere to south of France. Nice work if you can get it.
David Starkey has done it again, and the reverberations of his latest political bombshell are being felt throughout Westminster. The esteemed historian, known for his fearless honesty and mastery of the British political scene, has delivered a scathing critique of the individual currently occupying number 10. Starkey has laid bare the truth about this man, branding him a fraud, a puppet, and potentially the last Labour Prime Minister the UK will ever witness.
I've never met Keir Starmer, I'm delighted to say, but we have, as they say, previous. At the time of my cancellation back in 2020, Starmer was the only person in public life who wanted poor little Darren Grimes and me to be charged under the Section 6 of the Public Order Act, which I think carries mandatory imprisonment and up to 6 years. That is the measure of the man, the measure of his nastiness, the measure of his desire for vengeance, the measure of his hatred of free speech and his general hatred of freedom.
Yes, you heard that correctly. According to Starkey here, Starmer isn't merely failing, he's actively completing the task of dismantling the Labour Party altogether. And the British public, after months of deception, is finally starting to awaken to the reality of the situation.
It's very similar to the world of 1984. Eventually, it will break. I desperately hope that we will do it by what I call a restoration, a going backward. But equally, it is possible that those fears of the government and the DPP and everything else, that there will be violence. It is entirely possible that it's true that that terrible prophecy will be fulfilled. And the thing that terrifies me is all of this is not something that's just going on in conversations between you and me. It's going to the street. This is what is terrible in this country. We have, for 100 odd years, avoided the politics of public confrontation. It was only that moment of the violence of the miners' union in the 1970s. That was the only point at which our politics descended into street violence. I'm not talking now of the grotesque criminality, the IRA, best friends, of course, with Palestine and Libya and everything else. But you have to go back way into the 19th century to find politics that takes to the street.
It's essential to clarify that Starkey is not just another political commentator, he is a historian wielding a scalpel, having dissected Starmer's political essence. What did he uncover? Nothing of substance, no backbone, no principles, just an empty shell of a man pandering to whatever he thinks will appease focus groups. One moment Starmer is hailed as the wokest human rights lawyer in Britain, championing criminals against deportation and advocating for open borders. The next, he's quoting Enoch Powell, warning that Britain is becoming an island of strangers. And before you say it is better late than never, don't think for 1 second that Starmer just woke up and realised that illegal migration is a problem to deal with. No, it just happened that it is what he wants to sell to the public at the moment. He can switch to something opposite tomorrow.
Starmer, in my view, has got no morality whatever. Starmer is a man without any serious moral value. Let's get this right. His entire career is a lie. He lied to the Labour Party, he lied to his MPs, he lied to the nation, and he continues to lie. He finds it difficult opening his mouth without uttering a lie. That simply seems to me now to be absolutely demonstrated to be the case. It seems to me he committed direct contempt of court. Before the rioters were even tried, he declared what their motives were. He said they were far-right thugs. So all this elaborate notion that we've seen in the House of Commons, that, oh, we mustn't ask about terrorism because it may prejudice poor Axel's trial, is a total eyewash. It is a lie. It is a two-tier standard. It transgresses every notion that we have had of equality before the law. And the problem is, Dan, and I don't think you're actually pushing this hard enough with all these flavors of conspiracy. It's not something that's being done. It's not something that's being done by concealment. It's something that is now absolutely flagrant.
Yeah, it's a cover-up in plain sight.
This isn't merely hypocrisy, it's a calculated, cynical and utterly unbelievable charade. And that is Starkey's point. No one believes Starmer anymore. He attempted to appropriate Nigel Farage's rhetoric and rebrand Labour as tough on immigration. But Starkey is calling his bluff. He understands the truth, which is straightforward. Starmer isn't leading a country, he's managing a myth. For decades, the British populace has been fed a grand lie that mass immigration was a moral good, that multiculturalism was untouchable, and that anyone who dared to question it was evil. This was a noble lie, an insidious myth employed to silence us, to marginalise us, and to exclude us from our democracy. Now that lie is crumbling. For the first time in years, someone like Starkey is articulating what millions think but are too afraid to express. We have become strangers in our land. The British people are being erased from their history, their neighbourhoods, and their politics. And Starmer, this grey, soulless careerist, dares to stand up and pretend he cares. Let's be clear, he didn't write that speech. He didn't even comprehend what he was saying. Possibly someone handed him those words and he recited them like the automaton he is. But the damage has been done. The mask has slipped, and now Labour's coalition is fracturing. As Starkey astutely points out, Starmer is being crushed by the very factions that elevated him to power. On one side, there are the working-class citizens, betrayed and ignored, now seduced by Reform UK and Nigel Farage. On the other side, the public sector elites, the Quango Queens, and the Islamic vote were outraged by his feeble imitation of populism. The cracks are widening. The collapse is imminent. And Starkey is not finished yet. He draws a damning historical parallel. Just as David Lloyd George was the last Liberal Prime Minister before the party was annihilated, Starmer could very well be the last Labour Prime Minister. Why? Because the entire edifice upon which Labour was built is rotting. The coalition is dead. The base is gone. The lies no longer hold water. The party of the working people, that was a long time ago. Now it has become the party of bureaucrats, lawyers and grievance merchants. The party that once championed equality now demands that you shut up, sit down and accept second-class status in your own country. But that narrative will not fly any longer. The people are fed up with being lied to. They are tired of being branded racist for wanting secure borders. They are done being told that they must celebrate the diversity that is tearing communities apart. Starkey is right. Nigel Farage is the man who foresaw this crisis. He recognised it with Brexit and sees it now with immigration. While the media laughed and politicians scoffed, Farage was sounding the alarm, and now he is being proven right once again. But here's the pressing question. Can Farage lead? Can he transition from a visionary to a prime minister? Starkey believes he can, but with an important caveat. Farage must build a government. He must surround himself not with sycophants, but with giants. Not media performers, but statesmen. If he wants to take the reins of power, he must be prepared from day one to drain the swamp, dismantle the Congos, defund the NOS, and de-woke the entire British state. The stakes could not be higher, because if Farage fails, there will be no alternative. The Tories are finished. Labour is already decaying. If reform stumbles, Britain will be left with no options. This is the terrifying truth Starkey leaves us with. This is it. This is the final act. Reform must succeed, or Britain falls for good. This is no longer just about politics. It's about civilization itself. It's about preserving the very foundations of British identity, culture, heritage, and history. All of it is under threat from the very institutions that Starmer and Labour now prop up, resembling zombie regimes. If the people do not rise now, there will be nothing left to fight for. So yes, David Starkey has indeed dropped a bomb on British politics, and the fallout is unmistakable. Starmer is finished. Labour is collapsing, and Nigel Farage might just be the last hope that Britain has left.
So the Prime Minister tonight reacting to what has happened over the course of the last 48 hours. His conclusion, very simple, it's all the far right, as if they're causing all of the problems. No, the far right are a reaction to fear, to discomfort, to unease that is out there shared by tens of millions of people. Let me be clear. I don't support street violence. I don't support thuggery in any way at all. But I'm worried not just about the events in Southport, but about societal decline that is happening in our country. Law and order, folks, on our streets is breaking down. This Prime Minister hasn't got an earthly clue how to deal with it. We need to start getting tough. We need to use stop and search, regardless of the colour of the skin of anyone that gets stopped. We need tougher prison sentences for anybody carrying a knife. We need folks to get real. Because I tell you what you've seen on the streets of Hartlepool, of London, of Southport is nothing to what could happen over the course of the next few weeks. Let's have proper law and order. But Mr. Starmer, just to blame a few far-right thugs to say that's the root of our problems doesn't work.
If you thought Brexit marked the end of the story, think again. The real battle for Britain is only just beginning. In yet another alarming incident, 5 individuals have been stabbed in southeast London, and the eerie silence from those in positions of power is nothing short of astonishing. As blood stains the pavements of our capital city, one must ask, where is the leadership? Where is the accountability? Following yet another weekend steeped in senseless violence, whispers are now circulating from the palace. Reports indicate that King Charles has convened an urgent meeting behind closed doors, focusing on the escalating crisis concerning public safety and the men many hold accountable for allowing this chaos to unfold. Keir Starmer, let's be unequivocal. This isn't just another tragic occurrence. It represents a pivotal moment, a flashpoint, when 5 people are brutally stabbed at 4:00 a.m. on the streets of London, mere steps away from one of the country's most secure prison facilities, HMP Bellar. It sends one chilling message. No one is safe. Not in Sadiq Khan's London. Not under Labour's lenient policies. Not with Keir Starmer tiptoeing around criminals instead of ensuring they face justice. The Metropolitan Police are in a state of disarray. A manhunt is currently underway. Yet so far, they have made no arrests, have no suspects, and possess no clear motive or answers. However, here's the stark reality. Crime of this nature doesn't simply occur out of thin air. It flares, escalates, and reaches a boiling point when political leaders neglect their duty to uphold law and order. This is precisely the scenario we have witnessed under Starmer's Labour. This situation extends far beyond mere knife crime. It reflects a complete breakdown of public trust and confidence. It is about a police force that is stretched too thin, silenced by bureaucratic red tape, and choked by political correctness. It's about a justice system that goes easy on criminals while punishing law-abiding citizens who dare to voice their concerns. More than anything, it's about a Prime Minister in waiting who seems to be asleep at the wheel. Starmer's track record is abysmal. Weak on crime, weak on punishment, weak on everything that truly matters to the ordinary, hard-working people of Britain. This is a man who, despite spending years as Director of Public Prosecutions, presided over a significant rise in crime rates. He dodges real solutions while peddling empty slogans and platitudes. He is a man who would rather kneel for a photo opportunity than stand up for the families of Britain. In the aftermath of this latest bloodbath in London, insiders suggest that King Charles has reached a critical juncture. Sources close to Buckingham Palace indicate that the monarch, usually reticent on political matters, is growing increasingly alarmed about the state of the nation. He has reportedly summoned senior aides and advisors for an emergency briefing, focusing on the mounting public anger surrounding lawlessness, the paralysis of leadership, and whether Starmer can be trusted with the keys to Downing Street. We are venturing into uncharted territory, as it is quite extraordinary for a constitutional monarch to even consider the fitness of a party leader for power. However, this is far from an ordinary situation. The British populace is being failed at every conceivable level, and the cracks are becoming evident not only in Parliament, but also within the palace itself. But if the king begins to push for private assurances that Starmer's Labour can restore order, or if he starts quietly seeking alternatives from other political figures, we could be on the brink of a historic upheaval. The ramifications of such developments could reshape the political landscape of the United Kingdom for years to come.